everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to crochet these really simple and quick boho beaded wrap bracelets. If you love all things crochet and are passionate about the craft, then you have definitely come to the right place. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss out on any of my future crochet videos. Alright, let's take a moment to talk briefly about materials. As you can see, I've got a vast array of different bits and bobs on my table. Now these bracelets are super duper versatile. I'm going to show you a really basic one today with a button closure, but you can use anything. You can use a larger bead to close them if you want to. You can incorporate this technique into more elaborate bracelets. The possibilities are endless. Crochet wise, the thread, you can use pretty much anything. Now, I personally quite like using embroidery thread because it is very, very strong and durable. And when it gets wet, it holds its shape really nicely. So that is one option you can use. You could also use yarn, any sort of strong cotton or bamboo yarn, anything that's tough, you're good to use. I'm going to be using some straight up fine cotton. Now ply wise, it's up to you. I use quite fine cottons, but you can use thicker ones. If you've got big chunky beads, why not try it with a big chunky yarn? Now bead wise, I got a lot of beads. I've got a bit of a problem with beads. I tend to have them knocking around all over my house. I think these are standard 6mm seed beads, but all you want is a bead that will go over your yarn so you can thread it on. So it might be worth just doing a bit of research for the thickness of your yarn with regards to what size beads you get. I touched briefly upon closures earlier. Now, as I said, you can use just a standard wooden larger bead like I've got on this one here, this grey one here. If you're going to use a button closure, which is my personal preference, I prefer the button closures. Button closure, you don't need to thread anything on, and you can use any button that you like. For anything like me, it's not just beads I have knocking around. I've got a whole load of buttons. So today I'll show you how you can secure your wrap bracelets with the button. Of course, you're going to need a crochet hook. For the purposes of this tutorial, I am using a 3mm hook, but you can use any hook size. All depends on the material of choice you have chosen to crochet with. You're also going to need a needle for weaving in those ends, and pro tip, some dental floss. Dental floss is excellent for threading beads onto yarn, but we'll get to that in just a moment. You're also going to need some scissors because you can't get far in life without scissors. So your checklist is something to crochet your bracelet with, some beads, a hook, needle, scissors, and ideally some dental floss. So before we can start crocheting, we need to get these little tiny seed beads onto our yarn. Now the best way to do that is to take a strand of dental floss and thread that onto your needle and just tie it in a loop. So you've got a circle of dental floss. Now dental floss is great. It's really strong and takes quite a lot of abuse. Then take the end of your working yarn and just drop it through that loop and double it over. Then you can go ahead and start threading on your beads. So it comes down over the dental floss. Then you may need to give it a bit of a tug because obviously it's trying to get through all of that. Give it a pull and then it's on. And you can pull it down and you've threaded your very first bead. Now I found that 40 seed beads is about right to go round my wrist 3 times, but obviously everybody's wrist is different. So always make sure you add on extra beads just in case you find you need more length for your bracelet than I used on mine. So I'm going to go ahead and add 45 in total to this piece of yarn just so I've allowed for a bit of excess. this is my last bead being threaded on. It almost takes longer to thread the beads than it does to actually crochet the bracelet. This is my last 5. You can see how strong the dental floss is. It's actually ripped through my yarn, but that's okay. I just want to get these beads on. We can trim off that excess. So I got 45 beads-ish on here. I'm going to take my raggedy ends and my dental floss yarn and put it out of the way. And I'm just going to pull these down a little bit and trim off this ratty end where I ripped it. So once you have all your beads threaded onto your working yarn, you want to grab your crochet hook and grab the button that you're going to be closing with. Now, before we go any further, you just want to make sure that the eye of your needle can pass through the holes in your button. So push your beads down the working yarn, and you want to go ahead and make a slip knot on your hook. Now we're going to be chaining the loop that secures your button. So go ahead and chain, say 5. This is a bit of the trial and error stage of the game. So I've chained 5. You may need to keep moving your beads down out of the way. And what you want to do is get the button and make sure that that's sort of the width of your button. If it isn't, chain a couple more. So you want it to sort of, your chains to sort of be the same width as your button. Once you're happy, go ahead and chain the exact same number that you just chained. So for me it was 5. So I'm going to go ahead and chain another 5. If you've got a bigger button, you may need to be chaining a few more. Then once you have the right amount of chains, go ahead and slip stitch to join to this very first chain right down here by the slip knot. So you're just going to pop your hook in and just secure this whole thing together in a loop. Now just double check your button can pass through that gap. There we go. Perfect. Pop your button to one side for now. And we're going to go ahead and chain 2. Now bring down your first bead so it is against those chains and chain 1, trapping that bead behind. Chain 2. And again, bring down a bead, trap it, and chain 1 to secure it. Chain 2, bring down a bead, chain 1 to secure it. Keep doing that for as long as you want your wrap bracelet to be. Chain 2, pass a bead, secure it with a chain 1. So I know I threaded 5 extra. This is my very last bead here, bead number 6. So once you have your last bead on, chain 2. Now, if you wanted to do a bead closure, you would leave yourself a long tail of yarn and you could thread a bead on at this end and chain secure that one in place. You just take these off and I can show you how they look flat. So my bead one here, when I reached the end, I just chained on a bead, a larger bead, chain 1, and then I cut my yarn. For the button closure, similar story. Leave yourself a nice long length of yarn. I don't need those extra 5, so I'm just going to snip my yarn here. Then chain 1 and pull that all the way through and pull it tight to form a knot. Then grab your needle, thread the end of this yarn onto that needle. Or if you can't thread the yarn, use the same technique with the dental floss that we did right in the beginning. And then grab your button and come up, pull the yarn through, and then go back through to thread on that button. Pull it down nice and snug, then take the yarn at the back, come back through a couple of these chains. We're just weaving it in. It will be a bit loose to begin with, but you can pull it up nice and tight like so. Then I'm going to knot it back here by going through my chains. I'm just going to secure this end in. So that button is going nowhere. Give it one more knot just for safety's sake. And you're done. Now, one extra little thing that I like to do to mine is I like to pop a few beads on these tails here. So grab your dental floss. You don't have to do this. If you want, you can just weave these ends back in along your chains to hide them. But I'm going to take a couple of these extra beads that I had. Thread them on and then tie a little knot at the end. Just so those beads can't come off. And trim it. And the same with the end by your little chain loop. Now what I do like to do with this is this end here, I just weave it back in so it's a bit of a stronger join. Again, completely optional. You don't have to do these steps. But I can see that slip knot there isn't necessarily the strongest join, so I just go back through, just give it a bit more sturdiness, and then do a quick little knot here. Hopefully you can see me doing that knot. And then just like I've done at this end, pop a couple of beads on it. Or weave it in. Totally up to you. Then your bracelet, your wrap bracelet, is ready to put on. So I'm going to go ahead and take off my other one. And pop this one on. You can just pop your button through the loop. It's really hard to do this with one hand. I'm trying to keep my hand in shot. All right, there we go. In and secure. So I hope you enjoyed making your super fast, super quick boho beaded wrap bracelets. They look great layered up, and you can have loads of fun playing with different textures and different color combinations. Let me know in the comments if you are tempted to make yourself a quick little boho wrap bracelet. They are great little pocket money makes, particularly good for craft fairs or for the boho person in your life. Until next time, bye!